And it is now mid-September. And time to start identifying some of these trees by the fruits that have dropped. We've been looking at bark and leaves and some nuts in August and early September. Well, they're starting to really drop now. We're getting some dry weather, and that encourages these acorns to fall a little bit early some years. And I am at the Fort Ancient State Memorial with some beautiful hardwood forest back here. This area's been in public ownership for many generations, and the lack of logging or disturbance is obvious. There's some real big trees back here, and I got a 2-foot diameter, probably 80 or 100-year-old red oak in my sights. And I did a little episode on pin oak acorns a few weeks ago on a tree that had some low-hanging branches where the acorns were still attached and were still green. Well, the pin oaks are starting to drop, and so are the red oaks acorns. So let's take a look at some. Again, the bark on the trees is very similar, but the red oak bark tends to be a little bit more deeply furrowed. And you would be hard-pressed finding a furrow in a pin oak deep enough to put the acorns in. Well, here's my red oak leaf, with notches between the lobes, but not as deep as the pin oak. And we've got some acorns here that are the size of a U.S. currency quarter, or even a little bigger than that. I'd say this one on top here is even bigger than the quarter. And the acorns have a nice, neat little cap that just covers the top and doesn't come down the sides. So if I were going to compare it to like wearing a hat, I'd consider this like a beret. And some of the acorns of other species have caps that come down over the acorn quite a distance sometimes. So that's one way you can tell oak trees apart, is by the size of the acorns and by the shape of the cap. Now I've also got some smaller acorns wedged in here from a pin oak tree that are 1/4 the size of the red oak acorn. They're probably not more than 3/8 of an inch in diameter, and that's your average size for a pin oak tree. So the leaves are different, the acorns are much different, but the bark is very similar. Habitat, there's some overlap, but normally pin oak trees are in poorly drained soils and floodplains and swamp forests, and the red oak trees are in better drained soils that don't hold water for months of the year. This particular park has both, and I've actually got some pin oaks in the background here that have kind of left the swampy area to our east and are kind of at the edge of where they would normally grow at the beginning of this hillside.